Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing good. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class, The Daily Current Affairs, where we do not need to worry about notes because notes are provided through my Telegram channel, Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries, please talk to me on my Instagram and follow me on my threads for the continuous updates. Also, if I have to tell you that whenever I tell you not to make notes, what I expect is undivided attention, which is continuous in nature. Because UPSC is not only going to test your factual and conceptual clarity, but also your psychological clarity. You may have read it numerous number of times, any fact or any concept. But if you're not able to deal with it psychologically under pressure, what is the purpose of it? So I'm going to help you mold your brains accordingly. What you need to study, what are the keywords you have to look for, and how you have to be careful about it. Let's talk about the first question. With reference to rice in India, consider the following statements. India is the biggest exporter of rice in the world. I could have written producer here or importer here. India has banned the export of non-basmati white rice. I could have written India has banned the export of basmati white rice. India's main export market for basmati rice was China for fiscal year 2022-23. So we have to see how many of the statements given above is or are correct. The first statement is definitely correct. India is the largest exporter of rice in the world. Also, other thing you have to keep in mind is know about the producer, the biggest exporter, producer and importer. So these kind of very basic yet important questions can be asked in the form of statements. Second one is India has banned the export of non-basmati white rice. Yes, we did not have a lot of stock in our central pool. Also, the elevated domestic prices, cereal prices, and also the uneven monsoon. These were the important factors which dictated or compelled India to ban the export of non-basmati white rice. And China is not our largest market for export for fiscal year 2022-23. Third is incorrect, first and second are correct, two only will be the correct answer. Also, the ministry has pegged the rice production a little lower. If we compare it to the last year, it is 3.7% lower for right now. There is no respite from the increase in prices of rice despite this ban. India is the biggest exporter of rice in the world, and India accounted for about 40% of the total rice exports in the world. Also, India's rice exports are broadly categorized into basmati and non-basmati rice. The non-basmati rice consists of 6 subcategories: rice and husk of seed quality, other rice and husk, husked rice, rice parboiled, and non-basmati white rice, then broken rice. So the government has banned export of 2 subcategories of broken rice and non-basmati white rice. There is no ban on the remaining 4 categories. Alright, these are not banned. Moving on, basmati rice for 2022-23, India basmati exports stood at 45.61 lakh metric tons. The biggest export markets for India have been Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, UAE and Yemen. Alright, non-basmati rice, Sona Masuri and Jeera rice are the 2 types of non-basmati rice. And non-basmati white rice came in second with 64.01 lakh metric tons, which was followed by broken rice, and the other 3 categories accounted for a lower quantity. Alright, non-basmati white rice, when we talk about, in all, India exported non-basmati white rice to 142 countries during the fiscal year 2022-23. Most of these were poor countries from Africa. With respect to deepfake, consider the following statements. It is a form of artificial intelligence called deep learning. To be created in a distorted format of an image, it has to outsource from an original image. And countries such as China has a separate law to deal with deepfakes. So how many of the statement given above is or are not correct? What is deepfake? When the computer learns in such a manner that it is able to fake an image. It is a Photoshop, but can go in an all-pervasive format. Photoshop in the images, Photoshop in videos, in how a person says things. I can make somebody speak something they have never said before. That is a deep fake. I hope you know why am I asking you this question. Because a recent video of Rashmika Mandana went viral. And that is an identity theft. It looks very usual, but if you look closely, you will see that it is not actually Rashmika Mandana, although it is very, very, specific to its all the points, the way she blinks, the way she smiles, it's to the point. And this is an identity theft. I can make somebody be somewhere they were never present. And that is an invasion of privacy, also an identity theft. This can also give rise to many other unethical forms such as pornography, revenge porns. Although in 2017, when deepfake came into existence, it started for porn clips only. Later on, even politicians were involved in attacking other politicians, saying things they actually never said. So this is the power of deepfake, and it is a form of artificial intelligence called deep learning. What is deep learning? Deep learning is a continuous learning process that the artificial intelligence is going through. It's like the human brain. It is deeply learning the patterns. It is deeply understanding how humans work, how they stand, how they sit, how they smile, how they speak. This is deep learning. And when deep learning involves the machine learning is another facet. Machine learning is basically when machine is dictated to go through patterns. When it is seeing the same kind of pattern, it will start generating algorithms. And deep learning is getting fed by those algorithms. So deep learning is just like the human brain, is continuous learning of the world, but it is done by the machines, and it is done by the larger artificial intelligence. First is correct. And do you know that deep learning can create deep fakes, can create such images which never even existed? It can create an event that has never happened. It can create profiles on Instagram, LinkedIn, that for people that do not exist. So it doesn't need an original image. It can do so in its entirely fake form as well. Second is incorrect. First is correct. China actually has a separate law that deals with deep fakes. First and third are correct. Second is not. One only will be the correct answer because we had to select the not one. So Rashmika Mandana took on to X and said that she feels extremely hurt that her identity has been, there has been an identity theft of her. And this is actually a form of artificial intelligence called deep learning to make images of fake event, hence the name deepfake. It can transform existing source content where one person is swapped with another. And it can also create an entirely original content. It is created by deepfakes are created by machines that use deep learning algorithms. They scan through thousands of faces using AI, artificial intelligence algorithms. This is called encoder. Now, when the artificial intelligence is going through different faces, it will look at the profiles, it will shortlist the commonalities in those faces, frontal and side profiles as well, and then it will encode a face. Thereafter comes the decoder. What is the decoder? Decoder will actually reconstruct the face and it will give them expression and orientation. So encoder and decoder, it works like that. And if any person has to be believable, as in if I develop a deep fake and I have to be believable, I have to do it on a frame basis. All right. Next, of course, the government took a cognizance of that, and the Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar said that under IT rules notified in April 2023, it is a legal obligation for platforms to ensure no misinformation is posted by any user and ensure that when reported by any user of government, it should be removed in 36 hours. And China's deep synthesis provision governs deep synthesis technology and services. Even Singapore has one, Protection from Online Falsehoods and Manipulation Act. We also do have, let's talk about section 66D, which is related to that only. With respect to the section 66D of the Information Technology Act, consider the following statements. It entails punishment for cheating by personation by using computer resources. If any person is personating the other person using computer source, if I'm morphing images, if I'm producing videos of persons, that is not true. That is personation. The punishment is imprisonment up to 3 years and fine up to rupees 1 lakh. So, which of the statements given above is or are not correct? First is definitely correct. Section 66D of the IT Act deals with that. The punishment is an imprisonment of up to 3 years and fine is up to 1 lakh rupees. Both are correct. Neither one nor two will be the correct answer. The Ministry of Information and Technology, Electronics and Technology, has sent an advisory to the social media platforms including YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, sorry, X now, to take down misleading content generated through artificial intelligence within 24 hours. Section 66D of the Information Technology Act deals with it. Along with Rule 3, Clause 2, Subclause B of the Information Technology Rules, it says that social media platforms are required to take down content in the nature of impersonation, including artificially morphed image of an individual, because that pertains to identity theft within 24 hours of the receipt of the complaint. Alright, moving on. With respect to the odd-even policy, consider the following statements. It was instituted by the USA during war in Iraq and Iran. Several studies have shown a decrease in the level of particulate matter when the odd-even scheme is in effect in Delhi, but it has only been around 5 to 10%. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? C. Particulate matter are small particles of pollutants. If we breathe them in, it can get lodged onto our lungs, creating problems for our respiratory system. And several studies have suggested that when odd and even policy comes into being, it was actually imposed for the first time ever in New Delhi, in the Delhi NCR and New Delhi region, basically in 2016. So there was a decrease in the amount of PM, and that was just 5 to 10%, and it is a very short one for a short term period of time. Also, not a significant improvement. Second is correct. It was actually instituted by the US in 1979 when gasoline was meager in the USA due to the Iran and Iraq war, and that is why odd-even policy came into existence. What is an odd-even policy? It is a traffic rationing system in which private vehicles who have a registration numbers ending in odd number, they will be allowed to commute on odd number dates, and for even number dates. So what happens? The number of vehicles on road comes down, and eventually what do we get? A reduction in pollution due to those private vehicles. So first is correct, second is correct, both 1 and 2 will be the correct answer. The odd even policy will come into operation from November 13th, and it will be there till 20th of November. Moving on. I have already told you this, that it was instituted in 1979. In New Delhi, it was imposed in 2016. Generally, it helps in, gradually reducing the pollution or pollutants for a short period of time. And the air quality index is basically a color coded scheme that was launched in 2014. It provides us the air quality index of a specific place. In many regions of Delhi, the crisis, climate or environmental crisis that is happening has gone beyond the severe level. So that is why Graded Response Action Plan 4th has also been launched by the CAQM. So that is why it is important for you to know about all this. The reduction is very low, 5 to 10%, and a study of 2016 implementation of odd even using satellite data also suggested that it was a 2 to 3% decrease in particulate matter 2.5 concentration in most of Delhi. Some places it was better, but for most it was just this. With respect to stubble burning, consider the following statements. The major reason behind the stubble burning is the short time available between rice harvesting and sowing of wheat. The rice stubble burning is highest in the state of Punjab, whereas Uttar Pradesh ranks higher in wheat stubble burning, and it generates heat that penetrates into the soil, causing an increase in erosion. How many statements given above is or are not correct? What is stubble burning? Stubble is the residue that is left after the harvesting of the crops such as wheat and rice. It is a residue, and that residue has to be removed before the other season of crops. So that is why we have a very short period of time. The farmers are not to blame over here, because farmers, they lack awareness. Secondly, they do not have proper alternatives. So farmers shouldn't be targeted. First of all, it is the government's responsibility to make them aware, provide them with incentives, provide them with proper alternatives that they do not have to burn it. Alright, so major reason behind the stubble burning is the short time that is available between rice harvesting and sowing of wheat, and it has to be done at a really immediate basis. That is why the cheaper version is to burn it all when the stubble is set on fire, and it creates pollution problem. It is the government's responsibility as according to the Supreme Court, and the rice stubble burning is actually highest in Punjab, followed by Haryana. When it comes to wheat stubble burning, it is highest in Uttar Pradesh, alright, and it generates heat. That heat penetrates into the soil, killing moisture and important microbes for the soil fertility, and also causing soil erosion at the same time. All three are correct. None of the above are not correct. So these kind of very small but important details you have to be careful about. And as I told you, Delhi NCR Air Quality Index, the Supreme Court has said that it's your job. It has wrapped the Punjab government to take care of the situation, because Delhi NCR is in a place where Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, all these agricultural states, they are highly dependent on agriculture. They do not have an income, the farmers of there do not have the kind of income that we need for happy cedar to be available for each and every one of them. So it is the government's responsibility. Now, stubble burning is a method of removing paddy crop residue or wheat residues from the field to sow wheat. Next one. Generally happens for this, for rice it happens from September to November, last week of September to November. Short time is available between the harvesting, rice harvesting and sowing of wheat. Just 2 to 3 weeks time window. And the rice stubble burning is highest in the state of Punjab, followed by Haryana. For wheat it is Uttar Pradesh. Pollutants which this particular phenomenon gives out into the atmosphere includes carbon monoxide, methane, carcinogenic polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, volatile organic compounds. Soil also becomes less fertile because of this. Nutrients are lost. It generates heat and penetrates into the soil, killing microbes, important moisture, and also losing soil fertility. Next is, consider the following statements. There is no constitutional provision which talks about changing the name of a city or any area in a state. State is different, city is different, remember. So do not get confused by the first statement. Mysore state was renamed Karnataka to represent the Kannada speaking people of the state. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? Yes. Now, changing the name of the cities has become a norm, and that is why we have to be aware of this, because questions can be asked. Whenever anything becomes a norm from the perspective of UPSC, questions can be asked. However, there is no constitutional provision that tells us that this is the provision, this is the protocol you have to follow whenever you have to change name. So first is correct. Mysore state, the changing of names of cities or areas in state happens because of many reasons. To get rid of the anglicized versions such as Kanpur and Jabalpur, and then we have this to honor people and the rightful place of cities in mythologies. For example, Allahabad was changed to Prayagraj for that very reason, and to honor martyrs, important persons. So these kind of things do happen. Also, to show the cultural significance and linguistic significance as well, certain states have been renamed, such as Madras was renamed as Tamil Nadu and Mysore was renamed as Karnataka. So first is correct, second is also correct, both 1 and 2 is correct. The Municipal Council of Aligarh has said yes to changing the name of Aligarh as Harigarh. I have already completely covered this. You can watch it on StudyIQ IAS English. Entirety will be discussed. Then the first attempt to rename Aligarh was actually made by Kalyan Singh in 1992. In 2015, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad also gave a nudge to the same. And back then it couldn't happen because of the differences in the government at the center and the state. That is why. Now no constitutional provision has been given about changing the name of a city or any area in the state. The power is given to the state legislature, and a resolution for the same is proposed by any member of the legislative assembly. Then a discussion takes place. There are discussion about the reasons as well why we should not change it, apart from why we should change it. Formal voting is done for the enforcement of the resolution. Then it is requiring simple majority only. Then it goes to the Ministry of Home Affairs. The Ministry of Home Affairs takes into cognizance the opinion of the Ministry of Railways, Intelligence Bureau, Department of Sport, Ports, Survey of India, Registrar General of India, so that there is no objection. They have to update their records. They have to ensure no confusion takes place. That is why then no objection certificate is sought. After that, after getting approval from the ministry, the state government can notify the changes in the state gazette. All right. And thereafter, whatever changes have been made have to be notified there only. Linguistic and cultural identity is also one of the prominent points of diversity in India. So many states have changed their names from that perspective as well. Moving on to the next question. This is actually a practice question with reference to the Model Code of Conduct. Consider the following statements. It is a set of guidelines issued to regulate political parties and candidates prior to elections. The MCC was first introduced in the state assembly elections in Karnataka. It doesn't contain provisions dealing with election manifestos. So how many of the statements given above is or are not correct? You have to answer it correctly. Let me take the names of those students who have answered my last question correctly so that you can answer this as well. Thank you, Pushpendra. Mansi has answered it correctly. Swati, Arslan, Unnati, Riya. Thank you so much. Riya has also answered the question. Good. Shruti, Prabhat, Abhishek, Komal, Rupash. I'm sorry if I'm not taking your name correctly because it's a username. Kindly tell me your name so that I can take it correctly. Pragati, Abhijit, Mindful Shubh, Shantanu, Gopesh, Ankit, Aryan, Manish, Siddharth. Thank you. Sankha. Thank you, Amrut. You have also answered it correctly. Sanjay has answered it correctly. Preeti has answered it correctly. Srinivas, yes, thank you so much for asking. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well too. No, Ankit, it's the central government actually. Mitlesh, thank you so much. Utkal and Dr. Priya Darshan has also answered it correctly. Thank you so much for answering the last question. Answer this one as well. We'll meet soon.